dice a pineapple, but you can dice a pineapple too, right? So if you want to dice a pineapple, you want to use a chopping knife, right? We have 5 to choose from in our catalog. We've got the French chef. We have the Japanese santoku, which is actually Japanese for cuts 3 ways. Okay, chop, mince, dice, cuts 3 ways. And then we've got the Asian vegetable knife. Okay, they all work differently, but they all do exactly the same jobs. Okay, the French chef is the most popular. You're going to use the back of the knife for chopping, mincing, and dicing, right? And so you're going to use this for, chopping all your carrots and whatnot. The nice thing about the santoku is that you can also slice with it, and you can rock with it. When I first started selling Cutco, I got so excited about my knives that I used to buy big bags of produce because I lived in California and it was super cheap. And we'd have all these cutting parties, right? And I just cut everything up. I was like a food cutting maniac. We used to play carrot baseball where you throw a carrot up in the air and then cut it in half, right? Right? We'd do it across the room, right?
Original fruit ninja.
But this one rocks like an ulu. Does anybody know what an ulu is? I live in Alaska, so you would not use this phrase, okay, because it's not going to work for you guys. But this is what I say. It cuts like an ulu, because an ulu is it's an Eskimo woman's knife, and everybody in Alaska has one in their kitchen. It's a thing. So, but it's bowed. It's bowed, so it rocks on itself. And here's how I explain it to customers. So this knife, Mrs. Jones, do you have a vegetable knife? This knife, Mrs. Jones, you have to put down and pull up and put down and pull up and put down and pull up, right? Right? When you use it, you want to use the back of the knife. That way you don't have to pull that knife up as high. And you don't have to push it down on the board as high. A lot of people, when they pick up one of your knives, they're going to do this. Do you know what that sound is? That is the sound of a dulling knife. Because you're hitting the board really hard. That's why I did it with the back of the knife, right? I would do that too. Good kick on that. All right, so with the chef knife, you're going up and down like that, okay? With the santoku, it's going to rock back on itself, all right? So, I really like doing it. So with this knife, it's going to go, here's a full-size santoku. You see how it does that? It gives you loft. And these knives are really popular, right? They're really popular because you can slice, chop, and rock. And you can kind of go backwards and forwards. Now, the signature set comes with both of these, which is fantastic. I call this the onion knife. Lemons, limes, apples, oranges, tomatoes, cucumbers. It's really cute, Mrs. Jones. You shouldn't get it because it's cute, but it is really cute. Check it out. And she's going to pick it up and she's like, oh, this is really cute. What did I just do for that lady? I painted a picture. Right? I painted a picture about how it's really cute and how she's going to like it. She shouldn't buy it because it's cute, but it is really cute. She picks it up and all of a sudden it's really cute and she likes the way it looks in her hand. I'm like, but don't buy it because it's cute. You should try it. And then she tries it and she likes it. Beautiful and functional. That's what Cutco is. Beautiful and functional. Okay? All right. So the vegetable knife is my personal favorite. It's got a blunt end for safety and a long flat blade. This knife goes back and forth, up and down. Okay? And you can rock it like a chef knife. You can pull it back like a santoku, but what you can do with this knife that you can't do with the others is you can make celery sticks super easy, right? Because it's super, super, super flat and long, right? So if you can hold it, you can cut it. That's how I cut celery. I grew 28 celery plants last year. I love celery. It was my best crop. All right, so you don't even need to use a cutting board. Right? Make a mess in your office.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
100% fine.
Okay, great. Are you having a good time?
I'm having a good time.
Are you learning some good stuff?
Really
Yes, I've been doing this.
Right? This is what I do with my customers when I'm at their house. I don't cut all this food, but these are actually the things that I teach my customers. So you want a straight edge knife for 2 things. 3 things, right? What are the first 2? Anyone?
Up in the air and up and down.
You pair in the air, chopping, mincing, and dicing, right? So we got a pineapple. You can slice a pineapple, or you can dice a pineapple. Those 2 jobs are not the same. Wait a minute. So what I'm saying is that you could use 2 different knives on one thing. So why would you want to do that? Well, you know what? You'll get done faster and your knives will stay sharper longer. You slice it with the slicer. You dice it for your salad. Okay? You picking up what I'm putting down? Up and down, back and forth. You slice the eggplant, you dice the eggplant. You slice the pineapple, you dice the pineapple. If somebody only wants to get 2 knives when you go to their house, they get a slicer and they get a dicer. It might be these 2 if Mrs. Jones is kind of old and has little teeny tiny hands, right? They might want to go middle of the road so they can get more jobs done, right? Or they might like the longer knives, right? Buy 2 knives, get a free gadget. That's probably not in the training manual.
It's in the last
Number
page.
4.
Oh, good. Drop all the way down, and they want to just get the 2 most important pieces in the kitchen. They get one with the teeth, back and forth, and they get one with the straight edge for up and down. These knives right here are 90% of the jobs in the kitchen. And if they have at least one of each in their kitchen, right, what you don't want to let them get is just this knife. Because it doesn't matter what one knife they have in their kitchen. What are they going to do with it? Everything. And this knife can't handle everything. I've had customers say, well, I only want to buy just this knife. Now, I use this knife more than all the other knives put together. It's my vegetable knife. Gio, how many of these do I have in my kitchen?
Can you count?
Yeah.
3, 4?
Yeah, I have 2 of them in my block. One of which I sold to a customer in 1995. And we traded when I went to sharpen her knives a couple years ago. I was like, well, that's a really cool old knife. She's like, you sold it to me. And I'm like, wow. And then she saw the new one. She's like, oh, I like this one better. It's a little bit thicker. And I'm like, let's trade. So I got the old knife, which is, well, it's really thin. It's really cool. That's how I started. Anyway, I would seriously rather, as a commission salesperson, sell somebody a trimmer than a vegetable knife. It's their only Cutco knife. Gio, who has sold more Cutco than me, is maniacing his head up and down in the back row. If you can't see him, he's going, yes, that's the right thing. Because this knife they can use for 5 years on everything in their kitchen, and it's still going to be sharp. This knife, if they use this in everything in their kitchen, they're going to be cutting their bread with it. They're going to be cutting their sandwiches with it. They're going to be doing everything with it. They're going to hammer this knife in about 6 months, and they're going to wonder, what's the big deal about Cutco? Right? So, obviously, if they get both of them and they get a peeler for free, right, they're styling and profiling, okay? So, you want a straight edge knife for 3 things. You want a straight edge knife for working up in the air. You want a straight edge knife for chopping, mincing, and dicing. Aside from Jeffrey Grimes in the back, is there anybody that wants to guess what the 3rd thing you want a straight edge knife for?
Up and down.
No, we did up and down.
Rocking.
Raw meat and fish. The cool thing about the knives for raw meat and fish is they tell you what they do in their name. What is the name of this knife? You want to hold up that other knife back there? That is the 1761 boning knife. What does that knife do? It bones out meat. You can take all the meat off a rack of ribs. Right? Bring that knife up here. It doesn't come in the signature set because I'm not in charge. If I was in charge, it would come in the signature set. All of my customers who get the signature set, if you add the boning knife on, Mrs. Jones, you get the peeler for free. Okay, that's Mindy Juliana's signature set. Okay, don't worry about putting where it goes. You can slide it right in that little hole right down there, Mrs. Jones. You can double them up. No one's going to care, right? Raw meat and fish. We've got the salmon knife, the boning knife, the butcher knife, and the cleaver. Right? You want to grab a cleaver?
Yep.
We have 3 tools for hard to cut, so I'm going to wait on that. So boning knife. Right, you can get all the meat off of a rack of ribs. You can take a chicken breast and cut it in half, clean up a chicken or a turkey carcass, get all the fat off of a roast, turn a medallion into... Do you see what I'm doing? This is what I do all the time with every single person that stands in front of me. Shall I do it again for you? You can clean up a chicken or a turkey carcass. You can stuff a pork chop. You can cut a chicken breast in half. You can get all the fat off of a roast. You can fillet a fish. You can butcher a moose. That's what I do. I'm a butcher. So you can butcher a moose, Mrs. Jones. You get really tight to the bone. It's flexible, but it's not too flexible. You can maintain control around bones. The boning knife. If you are a vegetarian, you are unauthorized to buy this knife. You are unauthorized. You'll have to get it from somebody else. I will not sell you this knife. I do not care how you feel about that. You are not going to get this knife because what happens if you use a boning knife for produce? I'm not going to do it to your knife. I'll go. You're going to hammer it flat. That's what you're going to do. You're going to hammer it flat. You take this beautiful knife that's designed for cutting raw meat and fish, and you're going to turn it into a hammerhead, and then you're not going to like it. And you're going to think, oh, Cutco sucks. It's like, no, you suck. You're using the tool wrong. Right? Okay, you don't hit your customers. I understand. I don't have my customers, right? You think these things in your head, right? But you want to have fun, right? And at the same time, you also want to make sure that the customer's making a good buying decision for them. All right? So, and then here's the cleaver, 1 1/4 pounds of solid steel. If you can't cut through it, oh, here's a stupid joke. Do you want to hear it? Mm-hmm. Seriously, it's a stupid joke.
Do it.
I'm warning you. If you can't cut through it, leave it to cleaver.
I don't even know if you know about that.
I warned you. You want to hear another stupid joke?
Do it.
I'm telling you. I do this in people's homes, by the way.
I love stupid jokes.
Right? I totally do this in people's homes. I am a crazy person. But you want to do it to your own personality, right? I can get away with a lot of stuff because I am, in fact, a crazy person. So if you are not a crazy person, you're a little bit more subdued in your personality, you have to cater these things to your own personality, right? So here's a stupid joke. Yeah, I know, right?
I gotta make sure I get all of this.
I'm a crazy person. All right. So
On Facebook Live, we had like 1,000 viewers.
okay, here's another stupid joke. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that is? Anyone? Be sharp. I told you it was stupid. All right, I warned you. Okay, so boning knife, raw meat and fish, cleaver, and salmon knife. Salmon knife is for thinly slicing. Okay, you can make prosciutto, make your own jerky, make shredded ham or roasted sandwiches, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so hard to cut stuff. Here's another category. So we've talked about back and forth, right? We have 3 tools to choose from, small, medium, and large. We also have sticky, starchy, and juicy. What do you call it?
Cheese knife.
It's cheese knife, right? It's for anything sticky, starchy, or juicy. Okay? Nothing sticks to it. Deviled eggs, cookie dough, pastry dough, or pizza dough. One of the things I like about this guy is that with cheese, you ever tried to clean? I'm painting a picture right now. Have you ever tried to clean one of those cheese graters? Yeah, right? You're painting a picture because if you've never cleaned a cheese grater, go borrow your mother's cheese grater, grate a bunch of cheese, and then try to clean that thing. All right, you'll understand the pain and suffering that people go through when they're trying to clean their cheese grater. Well, I don't like cleaning a cheese grater, but I like grated cheese. I just like to have control of the size of my cheese, Mrs. Jones. And when I'm making a chicken or a turkey salad, I like to actually put cheese inside my salad. Or I like to sprinkle a little bit on top. Okay, now I'm not pressing hard, but you can actually just put that right inside your salad. You can do the same thing with butter if you like to bake. With potatoes, or butter, you can make thin slices. These are the biggest potatoes ever. You like potato chips?
Cool.
Beet chips? Sweet potato chips? I love sweet potato chips. They're one of my favorite things. They're really healthy. Don't use canola, corn, soybean, or cottonseed oil.
Use
Right?
coconut oil.
That's good. Yeah, those are GMOs, genetically modified organisms. If you'd like more information about that, we can talk about it later. Okay. Okay, so if you want to have some sweet potato chips, or you can, I made a frittata. I went over to John and Monica Israel's house in Dallas, and I cooked breakfast for the family yesterday, and I took some potatoes and I diced them up like that. And I pan-fried them with the onions and the green peppers and stuff. And then I put the eggs, the scrambled eggs on top of it. And I made a nice frittata with potatoes inside of it, right? Because I could do that, because I could cut the potatoes really small, because they have a Cutco cheese knife, okay? Sticky, starchy, and really juicy. So if you have something that's really juicy and you want to thinly cut it, to me that's going to be really expensive. Oh, but I have the right tool for the job. Don't worry. And just glide it a little bit. I'm kind of up and down on it. Remember, if you press straight down, it won't cut. Glide it, and it goes right through. Okay. So if you want thinly sliced tomatoes, you'll notice that when I'm cutting, I'm using the tip of this knife. This is an advanced trick. But using the tip of this knife, why would I do that? Anyone?
So you don't dull the blade.
Right. It's not what you cut, it's what you cut on that dulls the knife. If this is blunt already and I run that along the board, how often can I do that for? Ever. And the knife won't dull, right? Now, if you jack this knife against the board like that, Mrs. Jones, all these little teeny tiny pretty little blades on there are going to fold over, right? You don't want to do that. So keep it up and away from the blade. So always keep it a little bit of an angle so you can thinly slice your tomatoes. With this is such a giant tomato, I'm going to give it a little start first, right? Now, what else could I use on this tomato? Right? Is this knife going to work? Of course it will. Will this knife really work? Of course it will, right? But if you want really thin slices, the cheese knife is the way to go. Unfortunately, it comes in the signature set, Mrs. Jones. There's your cheese knife, sticky, starchy, and juicy. Okay? We also want the double D-edge for making sandwiches against back and forth slicing. So we've got the sandwich maker. This is a 4-in-1 tool. Okay, I'm going to paint another picture here, 4-in-1 tool. Scooping, spreading, cutting, and serving. Right, so it's a sandwich making machine. Right, do you like tuna fish? Right, you like tuna fish, right? So how many tools do you usually have to use for tuna fish? You need a fork to get it out of the container, right, and break it all up into little pieces. Then you need a spoon for the mayonnaise, the mustard, or the relish, or whatever kind of things you're putting in there. Try to find mayonnaise that doesn't have canola or soy oil in it. Right, so put that in there, and then you got to mix it all around, and then you've got to use a knife to cut your tomato. Whoa, wait a minute, this is all in one, right? So you can get your tuna fish out, you can break it into little pieces, you can get your mayonnaise, your mustard, your relish, just mix it all up, cut your tomato, because it's in your hand, one tool for all those jobs. You can make your sandwich, and then you can cut your sandwich. Right? Sandwich making machine. Making, cutting, and serving lasagnas, casseroles, cakes, and pies. Making, cutting. This is what I do. You're painting a picture. You're showing them how these work, right?
You don't bring a lasagna on your appointments, and you want to show them how it works. They're going to visualize it a lot better with all the hand motions.
Yeah. You can't, obviously, where it's like playing air guitar, right? We're not bringing the lasagna. We're creating the picture. We're showing them. And sometimes people say, I would never use that knife, all right? You say, well, do you ever eat peanut butter and jelly? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, well, what do you use to get the peanut butter out? They're like, oh, I just use a butter knife. And I'll grab my little table knife, and I'm like, oh, right, use your butter knife. How's it working out for you? Right? So we got a bagel here. Right now, what would you use to cut the bagel? You don't chop a bagel. What do you do to a bagel? You slice a bagel. So people say, well, how am I going to remember what tool is for what, right? Like, well, just say out loud what you're going to do.
Slice it.
I'm going to slice a bagel. I need the double D-edge. Now which tool is going to be best for this job? Well, am I going to cut it in half? Am I going to do little bagel rounds? Do little bagel chips, right? Or am I going to want to slice it like this? Now, here's a little hint about the slicer. If you're going to slice this bagel like that, always go downhill, okay? And I will show you. The reason why I got my Hall of Fame ring for my thumb is because I've got a 2-inch slice along the side of my hand right here from a bagel and the slicer. Got that in 1996. It was one of the only emergency room visits I've ever had. So the moral of the story, cut downhill. All right, don't ever cut uphill. What that means is that if I slice here, my hand is downhill from that. I always want to make sure my hand is uphill from where the knife is going. Okay, so I'm going to cut that in half like this. And then you can actually, what's cool about Cutco is you can literally just go straight down if you want to. Right, you can cut that bagel. Right, now if you're going to be making a sandwich, and this is already in your hand, you can cut that. I'll just do it again, right, because we can, right. That's not going to be too much work, but yes. Right, you can cut it with this. Is that a lot more work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. Right, and you're done. That's the sandwich maker. Any questions? Hard to cut stuff. We have 3 tools to choose from for hard to cut stuff. Okay? What are they? Hard to cut.
Sorry, slicer, butcher knife,
cleaver.
3 knives for hard to cut stuff. Okay? The butcher knife comes in all of our basic sets. It's a sweeping motion. Big, round, dense melons, disjointing chickens, cutting apart ribs, getting the heads and tails off of fish. Okay? Use the back of it for tenderizing meat or cracking coconut. Okay, it's a pirate knife. Okay? You want the cleaver, 1 1/4 pounds of steel. Right? You cleave with it. Right? You're whacker. It's a whacker. Okay? The Hardy slicer has teeth, so you're going to slice with it. You want to get in and down. Okay? Frozen bacon, ground, or sausage right out of the freezer. This is my all-time favorite Cutco knife. I am convinced every single person needs to own it. The teeth lock into hard rinds and frozen foods. You have knuckle clearance, so you won't hit your hand. And the teeth absorb the blow, so you're not sharpening your knives all the time. Do the straight edges need to be sharpened? Of course they do. Of course they do. Straight edges require maintenance. They don't have the teeth to protect them. You don't need to worry too much about that because they'll retain their sharpness longer than any other straight edge knives on the planet, because we always do market testing to make sure that we can always say that, right? So they will stay sharper longer. But the reason our homemaker set comes with a sharpener, anyone? Why would the homemaker set come with a sharpener?
Keep your straight edges sharp.
Because you need to touch up your straight edges, okay? And I do recommend that if once you get into the business, that you pick up a sharpener. If you're going to do a service call, absolutely everybody needs to have a sharpener. All of my customers have sharpeners because I have no interest in sharpening their straight edges. Right? You need to maintain that yourself. I'll do your double Ds every 3 to 5 years. You don't need to worry about that. You're brand new. You just need to follow the manual. So, Hardy slicer, hard to cut stuff. There's going to be other stuff for you guys to come here later. So, here's the short list. You want to get that back on because you're going to want to get this list.
It's still on. It's just the screen turns off.
But you can actually still see me?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. So, butternut squash, acorn squash, beets, cabbage, kohlrabi, ginger, corn on the cob, potatoes, yams, parsnips, turnips, rhubarb. Right, you can disjoint chickens, cut apart a rack of ribs, partially frozen or thawed. And you can also use it for frozen foods. So sometimes you'll go into your freezer and in the back there'll be some coagulated vegetables that you're not really sure what they are, the mystery stuff. I take it out, just chop it up and eat it. One of my favorite things is I don't eat bacon anymore. I stopped eating pigs. But what I used to love to do all the time is I would take all this bacon and I would take it out of the freezer, frozen, and I'd get like the big 5-pound flats that are like, they're like this big and the little, and then I would just turn it sideways and I would literally just take the Hardy slicer and just shear it off a little bit at a time. Right, when it's totally frozen, get it into the pan, and I would literally cook like 10 pounds of bacon. And now I've got cooked bacon that you can use for anything whenever you want. Just put it in the freezer. Now you've got all this bacon fat. Well, I would pour off a bunch of that bacon fat, and then I would get sautéed mushrooms because they take a long time to cook, and I'd cook like 10 pounds of sautéed mushrooms, right? And I would use my vegetable knife to cut all the sautéed mushrooms. I would use the paring knife to take the ends off of all the caps, right? And then I would slice them up and make 10 pounds of sautéed mushrooms and then put them in the freezer in little freezer bags. So whenever I wanted sautéed mushrooms, I have a Hardy slicer. It does tricks, right? So you can do things that you've never done before with your Cutco knives, right? These are all things that you can do with your Cutco knives that you think, well, I'm never going to use that knife. Like, well, if you don't have a knife like the Hardy slicer or one of the hard to cut like the butcher knife or the cleaver, you don't have that knife, you're doing one of two things. You're either completely avoiding that task as something you could simply never do, or you're really working way too hard trying to force another instrument to do that job, and you're probably on the floor for leverage, right? Do customers do that? Oh yeah, they do, by the way. They put their cutting boards on the floor when no one is looking, and they try to step on it, or they get a hammer. We know because we've been doing service calls for a really, really, really long time, and we know what people do in the kitchen. And let me tell you something, they need this knife, right? And that's why the signature set is so awesome, because they have 2 of the hard-to-cut knives at their disposal, so you can choose which one you want. So we have a butternut squash. We've got some big potatoes here. And before we're done here, I've got an avocado and an onion. I'll just show you how to use those right quick. So the butcher knife is in big sweeping cuts. Now, I have to be honest with you. I don't use this knife. It's just not the right tool for me. But I sell it to people because everybody has different things that they do and different ways of doing it. And so I'm actually not that skilled with this particular knife. And so but it gives you leverage, and you can crack things like that. You can pry things like that, right? The reason I like the Hardy slicer is because to me this just makes sense, right? It just makes, it's just so much easier. So I have a butternut squash here, and the reason why I had them get a butternut squash is because this is how I do butternut squash. You got to go through it twice because it's got a thick rind on it. Chickens love this because I'm sure everybody here has chickens.
Yeah.
I have like 4 of them in my dorm.
Okay. So this is a nice butternut squash here too. Does anybody want to take this home for dinner tonight?
Nah, it's all you, buddy. You got chickens to feed.
Yeah.
Butternut squash is one of my favorite things. Do you want to take this home, Ryan?
No, I'm okay.
I like it because,
Save it, I'll do something with it.
yeah. I made a real royal mess of this table. Now, butternut squash is hard to cut. Are they hard to cut? Of course they are. Does Cucka make it easy to cut? They're still hard to cut, but it sure does make them a lot easier, right? And always cut downhill, remember? So you can cut it off like that, but I like the way the peeler works, right? I just go around like that. You guys get it. You're not going to eat this anyway. I'm not going to finish. So, do we have an ice cream scoop? What do you use the ice cream scoop for?
Ice cream, scooping ice cream.
It is one of the best pumpkin gutters. Let me get this right on. And it is one of the very best squash gutters. Super easy, right? You get almost no flesh off, just the seeds. Makes them easier to roast, Mrs. Jones. Okay. Again, you can see how easy that is. It's hard to do with you guys, for you guys to see it. All right, just glides. Just glides right along there. And it just comes right off. It's crazy. So that's another use for the ice cream scoop. It's good for de-seeding cucumbers, zucchini. If you want to stuff a zucchini, which is really good with like some really nice Italian sausage and cheese and stuff or whatever, you can stuff the zucchini. You can get all the seeds out with this. You can make the cucumber sauce like tzatziki sauce. Get all the seeds out of it first. If you want to put it in your water, cucumber water. Oh, it's so nice and fresh, right? And then you could also use this for gutting pumpkins and all your squashes. I don't eat a lot of ice cream, but I do use my ice cream scoop. So, how do people normally cook squashes?
Roast
Cut it
them.
in half
I
and
bake
They
them.
cut it in half. Why do they cut it in half?
Put like butter and brown sugar.
Because they don't want to have to cut it more than once. So it's like the only way people know how to use squash is they cut it in half. So they don't ever have to. So what I do with my squash, I always cut downhill. Right? You can leverage it like that. You can probably do that with this one too. Somebody told me that the butcher knife works better on a. So I'm going to try to. I'm still applying a little bit of pressure. I like the Hardy slicer better. Okay. So. Okay. So did you hear that little smack on the board? It absorbs the blow, right? So when I cook squash all the time, it's one of my favorite things. Now I can dice it like a carrot or an onion. Now I can put it in soups and stews. Right? And that's how I love chicken soup with butter and squash in it. It's phenomenal. Right? It's a really, really healthy vegetable. You need to get your yellows. Don't skip your yellows. All right. You want me to cut an onion here?
Yes.
Same thing with this right here, the Hardy slicer, hard to cut stuff, right? If I'm going to thinly slice a potato, right, I'm going to use the cheese knife because I want to make thin sliced potatoes. If I'm going to whack a bunch of potatoes in quarters so I can make mashed potatoes or something, I'm going to use the Hardy slicer because it's got more weight. You're going to get done a lot faster. Okay, you can go fast. You don't have to worry about how hard you're hitting the board or anything like that. Okay. Avocado. Do we have a bird's beak paring knife? Because I physically
Yeah, we do.
can no longer cut an avocado with any other knife. Why don't you go bird's beak? I love the bird's beak paring Oh, and I'll show you another trick with bird's beak paring knife too. This is not a GMO apple. It's browning. Apple's brown. If you buy an apple and it doesn't brown, don't eat it. Thanks. So, doing my little GMO plugs. I'm terrible. Can't help it. All right. So, I'm the organizer for the March Against Monsanto. And
I eat
Fairbanks.
organic too, like
Yeah.
completely. It
Yeah,
just it's so
exactly.
much better.
I know, right? It
We're in
tastes best.
Seattle, it's fine.
ridiculous.
Everybody understands this.
I know, Dallas, I was not received very well. I wore the Count Chemicals, Not Calories t-shirt on the last day of the net meeting. And Josh Mueller just came up to me and he just looked me up and down and I said, I could either dress cute or make a statement. I decided to make a statement. So, yeah. Okay. So the bird's beak paring knife gives you the exact angle that you need for so many jobs. I love this knife, right? When I first got it, I got cut. I got stabbed, and I was afraid of it, so I took it out of my kitchen. And a couple years later, I realized I was selling no bird's beak paring knives. So I brought it back into the kitchen. I got rid of all my other paring knives, and I forced myself to use it all the time. And now I absolutely love it. It is phenomenal. And what I love about it is that it gives you the angle to do things like this. Right? This is how I cut an avocado. See what I just did? I used the back, not the front. If you're going to cut an avocado in your hand, do not ever use a knife like this. My mother did it with a trimmer one time. Be advised. She put the trimmer all the way through her hand. All the way through her hand. My mother. It's on video now, Ma. She told me not to tell anybody. And I said, I'm going to tell everybody because I don't ever want anybody else to do that again. Right? You don't ever use the double D edge in the hair. This is not an air knife. Right? If you're going to do this, don't ever cut like this because what is this going to go through? Everything, right? So if you want to cut like this, you want to do it down here. Okay? I'm going to make big fat slices. Right? Now, so I use the tip. I also can use the back. Okay? Now, watch this. I'm going to put this in here. I can use the back of it. Put that in there. And just go all the way around. This is not a ripe avocado. Now, there's still some stuff in there. Watch this. This gets more out than a spoon. That's me. Right? More out than a spoon. But this is not a ripe avocado at all. Sorry about that. I just jacked that avocado completely. That was not a good example. But what's nice is that you can. So however you cut your avocado, this is just how I cut mine. Right? And then I do another twist. Oh. Right? And then I can do the same thing. I can slice it like that, and then I can use the back to get it right off of the avocado. That was a better example, right? And then everything comes off. When it's ripe, it actually comes right off. That gets more off than a spoon. The back of the so a lot of those, right? One more thing, the peeler. You can peel everything from kiwi fruit to butternut squash. Do you know this to be true now? Well, you saw the butternut squash, right? And so one of the other things you can do with the peeler is you can zest. Now this is not something that you can do with any other peeler. And I want you to see how thin that just came off. Oh my goodness, who's talking to me? Okay. So you can zest. Now, you might not understand the concept of zesting, but there's so much flavor inside this, but you don't want any white. That's called the pith. You want to leave all of that behind on oranges, lemons, and limes when you're zesting. This is one of the best tools for zesting. Now, some people might want little teeny tiny itty bitty little things of zest to go into it, like if I'm making cannolis, right? I want little things of oranges in there. So you can either take this and dice it, or you can use one of the little zester things that are, again, really hard to clean. Okay, I would just use this, and then I've got my vegetable knife or my santoku knife, and I would just dice this up into little pieces and then put it into the dish. Okay? Sometimes you want to use a little bit of zest. You want to use zest, but you don't want it to be in there, so you want to capture it. And what most people have to do is they have to zest it, and then they have to put it in a little bit of muslin or a little bit of cheesecloth so they can take it out of the dish when they're done. The nice thing about using the peeler is you can get giant pieces, and then you can just take it out in one fell swoop. So that's a little benefit of our peeler. And, of course, you can do potatoes forwards or backwards. The peeler is awesome. It's literally the best peeler in the world. Literally. There's no other peeler. And I honestly don't say that about all of Cutco products, and I'm honest with my customers about that. And you'll find pieces that you think are better than others. There's been a couple pieces that have phased out because they weren't the highest quality, and you don't need to worry about them because they're gone. But this, by far, hands down, is, I think, one of our very best products. It's in the same category as these. These are very, I mean, there is nowhere else in the world that you will ever find anything better than the scissors. And because this is being recorded, I'll tell you what I've used my super shears on. I've laid carpet linoleum, airplane sheet metal, bicycle brake line, chicken wire, tarp, canvas, leather, garden hose, shingles for the roof, corrugated metal roofing material for my pheasant house. I've sheared sheep in an emergency. I've groomed my Newfoundland dog for many years. I cut up caribou hooves for dog treats. Thick halibut skin. I cut a 170-pound halibut one time, and I went through some really thick halibut skin with it. I cut salmon strips and chicken strips, and of course they're kitchen scissors, so you can clip herbs with them, or evil plastic packaging, heavy cardboard, kids' projects, paper mache, whatever. If you're going to re-roof your house, get tin snips. But if you only got to do a little section of it, you got your super shears. Right? Now, you want to make sure that when you're cutting anything like metal, like chicken wire or something like that, you always seat it all the way in the back and you use leverage, right? Because the teeth can be stripped. But then what's the worst thing that happens? You're going to send them back to the factory. And it's free. Which is really no problem.
Hope all you guys memorized that and wrote that in.
All right? But that's literally what I use my super shears for. And it's on video, so you guys will have that. There's a little bit of ginger here. You can peel your ginger. And it doesn't take a lot of the meat off. You can see how easy it is to peel ginger. You can tell I've done this before. Save that for last so I smell like ginger. It's my favorite. You guys cook with ginger?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can use your paring knife. This is really good because you can get right around in the hard to reach areas. You can also use the back. Like if you've got the standard paring knife, it's really easy to just use the back of it just to kind of clean it up like that. And then you can use this for going fast. But yeah, you can also scrape it off like that. Okay, so that's ginger, and of course you can cut it up in the air, or you can use one of your food choppers to thinly slice, pan fry that. Okay. Oh, for this?
Oh, yeah.
I love this.
Are there any questions on anything that we've done?
I'm just gonna stop.
Did I miss anything?
It's next to Matt.
No more food cutting and training. I'm just going to play the video.
Just playing Mindy's video.
Was that all right? Did I meet your
great.
needs? All right, so again, the double D edges for back and forth, small, medium, large, sticky, starchy, juicy, making sandwiches, and hard to cut. Right, you want a straight edge knife for three things: up in the air, chopping, mincing, and dicing, and raw meat and fish. That's the whole catalog, and hard to cut stuff. Right? So that's literally the whole catalog that I've just gone through in that simple demonstration. The nice thing about the homemaker set is that it gives you a little bit of everything. The signature set gives you even more because you get two food choppers. Right? So you get small and large, which is great. So if you have more than one cook in the kitchen, you want to train your kids, or you just want help, right? Right? You've got the different tools. Plus the little one is really nice. Oh, let me cut the onion. I'll do an onion trick before I leave. Because it's going to make me cry, but that's okay.
Onions in the middle with apples.
You'll be worth it.
All right, Matt, I don't know if I told you, but you signed up earlier this week. I signed you up to clean up everything.
All right. So I call this the onion knife because it's perfect for onions. This is a big onion, so I might want to get a bigger knife, right? But I'll try it with this little petite center. So here's my cutting. So can do lots of different ways. So if you want to make caramelized onions, cook onions until they're browned. They're really super delicious and sweet. All right, you want to cut it like this. You can pull it straight back or you can rock it down. You want to make slices, and that way when you cook it, they all fall apart in little pieces. Okay.
So when you do that with the santoku, like drag it like that, is that going to dull the tip because it's not rounded?
When I do that, you kind of sacrifice the tip Yeah, for pulling it straight back like that. But if you have the number 82 sharpener, anything you do while you're cutting, you can fix it with the sharpener right there, right afterwards, right? So you can dice it like that. So this would give you for onion slices, which is great on burgers. This would be great for, I don't eat it anymore, but pork loin, lamb roast, things like that, right? Then you can take it from there and you can go rock it straight down. And now you've got a really nice small dice, okay? And so that's one way of doing that, right? Is like that. Has everybody cut an onion like that before? Another way to cut an onion, I learned all this at culinary school, is you can leave one of the ends on and then cut it like this. And this is really good for the santoku. The onion knife. Okay? All right. Cut a bunch of stuff up. This is really fun. I haven't done a cutting thing in a while. All right. I think we're done here, Austin.
We are. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Everybody eat some food. I'm starving.
Yeah.
So
Watching that.
Raph and Lonnie, you guys can jump in there with Joffrey and Mindy.